In June, I talked with industry thought leader Rob Hahn about the many antitrust lawsuits that came out. A lot has changed since then, so Rob is joining me again for this episode to update us not only on the cases, but also explain what consumers should be looking out for moving forward and what agents need to stop doing. Welcome to season 4 of the Real Estate Replay. This season, we're continuing to share the good, the bad, the unethical, and sometimes illegal experiences that sellers and buyers have had to help you not get screwed over. But we're also going to spend time talking about the many lawsuits floating around the industry and how they can impact you. Perhaps even sprinkle in a few episodes explaining how all these quote unquote helpful companies are making a crap ton of money off of you. Lots to talk about.
Indeed.
So in June, Rob Hahn and I discussed not one, not two, but 3 cases and his thoughts on how it will go. And I would like to point out, Rob, that from that discussion, most of what you predicted has become true, specifically the outcome for Sitzer Burnett case and the incredibly disappointing lack of preparation for the industry and copycat real estates, which we will, or copycat real estates, good Lord, copycat lawsuits, which we will discuss.
Yep.
So since that recording, a lot has happened. So if we could quickly recap where the existing cases stand. So at that time, there were 3. And the first one was No Select that we just talked about in Massachusetts.
Yep.
So that one currently stands where?
It is still ongoing. MLS PIN has settled, or at least they reached a settlement agreement. The judge had done a preliminary approval. The Department of Justice has then objected to that. Mm-hmm. So last I heard that the judge has not done a final approval.
Okay.
Yeah, this is going to become real relevant as we talk about Sitzer and what happens next.
Right.
So that's where that one is. Sitzer, as we know, went to trial. The verdict came down after a mere 2.5-hour deliberation.
Wild.
That's going to be relevant.
Yeah.
The jury held for the plaintiffs and they awarded full damages, which was $1.785 billion, which under automatic trebling of Antitrust Act should be $5.35 billion. Nobody has that kind of money. But anyway, all right. So that's where that one is. We are now waiting for essentially the final ruling, right? So the jury delivering the verdict doesn't mean it's over. Now the judge actually has to come out and issue a ruling, right? Including probably injunctive relief. I have no idea how long that's going to take. I'm assuming it'll take a week or 2, maybe longer. Like, it depends on how carefully he wants to craft that. And then from the moment that ruling is issued, NAR and the defendants have 30 days to appeal.
Okay. I was wondering what the time frame was on that. Because their due memberships are coming up at the end of the year too.
Yeah. Most agents have already received their, renewal notices, and they have to pay it by the end of the year. So,
right, which is bad timing, but that's okay. And it's important to say that anywhere. So that's Coldwell Banker, Better Homes and Gardens, Sotheby's, Corcoran, Century 21, and Remax for the Sitzer and the Merrill case have settled.
Actually, and No Select jumped in as well. So
did they jump in? Okay.
Yeah.
So they're out.
The settlement agreement, which we can get into, has something they're calling the settlement class. And the idea there being, for the settlement only, it will cover the entire country.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know. It's a bizarre thing. I was looking into it too. It's like, what? I don't make it. It's like, no. So for settlement only, what they're purporting to do is create a, quote, settlement class.
Okay.
So it's like a plaintiff's class action, but they're only doing it for settlement.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure how that works because you are foreclosing, the ability of future plaintiffs to sue. Mm-hmm. But, as long as the court approves it,
so no one could go after them. But if there's 1.7 billion, well, more than that, obviously, times 3. So do they have to contribute to that, or do they only contribute what they settled for?
Exactly that.
Why wouldn't
so this is like, I think I said this on my little podcast with Greg. This is going to end up like Ryan Schneider, the CEO of Anywhere, and Nick Bailey are like the executives of the year,
Right.
because it's the best 55 and 83.5 million they ever spent.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
So that's where that
Oh,
is.
yeah.
And then, of course, hours after, like, not even hours, like minutes after the verdict came down, the same lawyer who's filed Sitzer filed a new case called Gibson,
Mhm.
where it's NAR plus 7 brokerages, right, that were not part of either Sitzer or Morrow.
Right. Which you
And it's
predicted. Everyone's in
copycat
trouble.
lawsuits. Here we go. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's the latest.
And then the Merrill case, that isn't supposed to go to trial until earlier next year.
Correct.
Right.
That's right. Early 24.
Right. And so Remax and Anywhere are done.
Out. Yep.
Out.
Yep.
Leaving Keller Williams,
DHHS.
Berkshire,
Yep.
NAR.
And NAR. Yep. The same three.
The same three that already owe like $5 billion to appeal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good for them.
So that's where we're at.
All right. I want to go over what you got right, because in June, you predicted that Sitzer would likely win. And as of now, they have.
Yep.
You predicted that agents and brokerages are incredibly unprepared.
Yep.
And at that time, I thought that you meant, what does their model look like, or what do we do?
Right.
But since that has happened, I am cruising on social media and understand now that it's way worse than what do we do, because most of them don't know what to say to clients now. Half of them say, no one's asked me. It's fine. I don't care. Nothing's changed. The other half explained how they were going to explain it to a home seller and talked similarly about what they currently say to them, which indicates steering. So that's not going to work out well for them. Some of them called the jury a bunch of uneducated people in a podunk town, and how dare them. A bunch want to sue the antitrust lawyers because they think it's their fault. And a ton of them keep talking about who gets paid what, who's actually paying, and missing the whole point that the system kept buyer agent commissions somewhat inflated, according to the plaintiffs, and that steering is a major problem. And then went on yesterday to talk about just go to home builders. They're paying 5% commission right now. So there's steering again. Nobody's prepared. It's so bad. And I just keep screenshotting, like, how dumb are you that nobody helped you to say, hey, you probably can't say this anymore. And the other thing, you said copycats. So we have Gibson now, which is 2019 to now, of those 7 brokerages for anybody that sold with those 7 people. And the reality is there are more coming. Yeah. So
there's no question about that in my mind.
Right. So it could be
something I've been talking about since, I don't know, like 2020.
Right.
When I first started really talking about this, look, the danger here, because here's sort of how the evolution, I think, has gone on, and we're still in the midst of it. Moreau gets filed, and most everybody has said, this is ridiculous. These lawyers have no freaking clue. They're just morons. And I'm like, do you know, like, because when I wrote about it, I said, look, this is a real problem because of the lawyers involved. The industry has been sued in the past over and over and over again, including this exact claim, right? That, like, this cooperation compensation is anti-competitive. But the lawyers that were bringing those lawsuits were like small little firms, little ambulance chasers, right? So you throw, the might of NAR, legal team at them, and they just crumble, right? And then you just say, look, we'll give you 25 grand. Can you go away? That sort of thing, right? When Moreau was filed, I was like, this is Cohen Milstein and Hagen's Berman.
They're huge.
They're gigantic, and they're like giant killers. I mean, these are not, I literally just watched a movie yesterday, like on Netflix, with Jamie Foxx, and he was playing this guy Willie Gary, and it was about this whatever, it was a cute little movie. And again, it's like that, or Philadelphia, any legal drama you tend to see on TV, or what's that one? Aaron Brockovich,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like all the movies tend to be about like this like feisty small town lawyer going against big corporate. I'm like,
Not this
Joel
time.
Osteen and Hagen's Berman are big corporate.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys
They're
are
huge.
monsters. I'm like, they filed this lawsuit. This is a real thing. So in the beginning, everyone's like, well, whatever, they don't know what they're talking about. This is ridiculous, etc. As it kept going and they kept losing motions, right? So it's like motion to dismiss, lose that. Summary judgment, lose that. And every single step I'm reading the opinions, I'm like, these judges have made up their effing minds. Like,
Mhm.
this is not going to go well. Um, at that point, I felt like the industry started thinking about, okay, well, if there's a rule change, how do we get paid? And I think even now, that's still what most people
Mhm.
are obsessed about.
Yep.
And I think it's time to really start thinking about that very differently. And we'll get to that part.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting here like, look, before you even get to the whole issue of how do your agents get paid, if you're a broker, the first question you have to ask yourself is, how do I stay solvent? How do I stay in business?
Mhm.
Because of copycat lawsuits. And again, so many brokers were just like, now keep in mind, this is during the COVID years, right? So the market was going nuts. They were just making money hand over fist and
Mhm.
they're not paying attention to any of this. And I'm like, you understand that there's a wave, like this monster wave coming at you. And they didn't.
Mhm.
They really didn't. Like earlier this year, Greg Robertson and I went to like a Las Vegas realtor event and we talked about this. And one of the very first questions we asked, this is a room like 500 people maybe. And she said, raise your hand if you know that there's a commission lawsuit going on. And I would say like less than 10% of the room raised their hand.
Mhm.
Well, so
Mhm.
hopefully now, right?
They
Hopefully
do. They
now
do.
they do. And a lot of agents, a lot of brokers are waking up to this like for the first time. And I'm seeing the same arguments being made that I saw back in 2019, right? Which is these lawyers don't know what they're doing. This is unjust. The seller
Mhm.
signs a contract, you know, and how is it's not the seller anyway. The buyer's the only one bringing money to the table. And if the buyers have to pay, then that's going to hurt low income buyers and all these arguments. I'm like, you understand? None of this is relevant,
Mhm.
especially now. And I remember
Yeah.
Kip saying to him, look, they would make these arguments to me, right? Because I'm writing something about, and they're like, well, Rob, you understand? I'm like, you understand? I'm not the court. I'm
Right.
not the jury. You're making arguments like you want to go argue with the jury, right? Don't like I'm not that guy.
Mhm.
I'm just relating to you what the law is of what it's going to happen. And we're still having that today,
Yep.
right? So, you know,
That's
that's where we're at.
majority of the conversations online is
Yeah.
this obsession about who's really paying. It's the
Yeah.
broker's
Yeah.
money. It's up to them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're missing it. You're missing all of it.
Yeah.
And it's like a panic
Yeah.
because nobody prepared them or explained it to them. I actually
Now
had
here's
someone.
so
Okay.
here's one piece of news about that. So maybe 2 weeks ago, I went to a big event with Ohio Realtors,
Oh,
and I
right.
talked about this. And this was before the verdict came out. And I felt like maybe it was that event when I first started really feeling like brokers are starting to pay attention.
Mhm.
And they're starting to come out with, okay, well then what about this? What about that? And I think now after the verdict, I've been getting more of those questions privately. Like, I'm a broker. What do it's more from a broker standpoint. What do I do? Right. And there's some real doozies in going down that rabbit hole, which
Mhm.
we can, if you'd like,
Uh,
just
uh,
say,
I love rabbit holes.
I know. And just like
My
we'll
whole
probably go down
existence.
the agent compensation rabbit hole as well. Right.
Right.
But before we get there, I think because one of the things I want to establish is sort of like just factually, like what's next? Like what's
Mhm.
going to happen next? The next issue for everyone to watch is whether NAR can post an appeal bond. So I've been talking about this incessantly, like under federal appellate law, in order to appeal a decision, a judgment, you have to post a bond. Typically, that's equal to the judgment amount.
Which is
Okay.
like $5 billion this time, right?
Correct. Correct. Now, so here's the idea behind that, right? Because just so the people don't think it's just complete ludicrousness. Like the reason for it is because if you win, like let's say it's not antitrust, it's just I don't know, like I got hit and
Mhm.
injured, right? And I won a judgment. So now I know you're going to give me $1 million, let's say, to pay for hospital bills, whatever. You appeal it. Okay. And then you go bankrupt during the appeal.
Mm.
What about my $1 million? Like, I won that, right? So in order to protect that, what the courts will do, okay, well, if you can appeal, absolutely, you have the right to appeal, but the plaintiff won. And we have to protect the plaintiff's interest now. So you have to post a bond. So if you go bankrupt, then somebody's going to pay the plaintiff what he's owed.
Right.
Right. Okay. Well, so I think the next big thing is there will be a hearing. And this is what Ed Zorn talked about it on the Industry Relations podcast. And the judge gets to decide, like, do you need a bond? Because it's not necessary. It's up to the court, right?
Okay.
How much will the bond be? And then he'll have to do this balancing thing. This particular judge has not been.
Yeah. It's pretty obvious where he stands, right?
In any way, shape, or form.
Right.
He's still judged, so maybe he's not going to make the amount so insane that NAR can't even appeal.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll make it hurt a lot. And again, let's say he sets the bond at, I don't know, $250 million. I'm the plaintiff, right? I'm like, Judge, we won $5 billion. How's $250 million going to protect us? Do you know what I mean? It's
not enough. So
that will be the next thing to watch for. Right now, I'm not convinced that NAR can afford a bond.
Yeah, I saw your post where they're pretty much, I swear it's like the royal family, like everything's great, never complain, never explain, like we have money, it's fine. And I'm like, who has $5 billion in their pocket? How do they split that between, so KW?
I don't know. Yeah, they're
they
all
have to figure that out.
Argue over it, because here's the other thing. Antitrust damages are joint and several, means every single one of them owns they owe the entire amount.
Oh, okay.
So if like KW files bankruptcy tomorrow,
it's on NAR,
and all you can get out of the corpse of KW is $100 million, the other two now owe $5.25 billion. Oh, $5.25 billion.
Ooh.
Individual, like they both owe the entire amount.
Right.
It's not like my share of this pie. It doesn't work that way. And again, this is something people are missing.
Somebody's paying.
Somebody's gonna be the hook. So when I went to Ohio, like some brokers, like, well, I only have 3 agents. I'm like, yeah, well, you're responsible for the entire amount. And it's like their jaw dropped. I'm like, it's not fair. I'm not claiming this is fair,
right? But
that's the law, and it's because Congress wanted joint and several liability for a very specific reason, right? Because if you're going after, anti-competitive conspiracy and cartels, you want
to take them.
You want to encourage people to defect. Like that's the reason for it.
Right.
Anyway, so that's the next big thing, and then the injunction.
Right? Okay. And then with the Gibson trial, so the new one is supposedly with that same. Is that with the same judge?
It's now been given back to the same judge. Same judge, same plaintiff's lawyer. Yeah.
Oh Jesus, they're in trouble. Okay. Oh man.
I don't think Gibson ever goes to trial.
No. So I asked someone who used to be pretty involved in NAR, and I said, and we did this on a TikTok live because he's out and he's just disgusted with them, so he doesn't care. And he's like, I think they're waiting to see if there are any more cases within the next week or two, and then, as you suggested, we'll do one big settlement, and be done, and that will be it.
Yeah.
And then I saw that someone had mentioned all these people that said they're going to leave NAR. If they do that, would they still be covered? Does that matter? Nobody knows.
Maybe not. I mean, maybe. So let's actually set one thing very, very clear right at the outset, because people get all kinds of confused about this, right? Agents are not being sued.
Right.
There's no theory under any of these lawsuits where somebody's going to sue, Susie the agent. It's brokers,
right?
They're exposed, but individual agents are not.
Right. Well, I mean, the contract the seller signs is with the broker, which some consumers still don't understand.
Exactly. That's primarily why. So, it's not like these lawyers don't know. If you really want the money, you need to go after the agents. Mm-hmm. Thing is, there's no theory under which they go after the individual agent, right? Because they
didn't take the money.
They don't have the relationship, right? They're not the principal. They're not the broker. They're not NAR. They're not the MLS. There's no real theory to go after the individual agent who is just you come into the industry, your broker, you get your license, your broker tells you, okay, you got to join the MLS. Here are the rules. And you're not thinking like,
Mhm.
just like, okay, this is what I got to do. Like, there's no theory for that. Whereas
Mhm.
brokers, because they're companies or institutions, and you're starting with these big guys, right? And it's pretty smart how they went about it. Like, we start with these big guys, because then you could say these big guys had a lot of influence on NAR committees and local
Mhm.
MLS boards, right? So once you establish that conspiracy, the next step is, and again, this is something that a lot of folks don't understand. If you just voluntarily join that conspiracy, you're now a part of that conspiracy. Okay, what does voluntarily joining mean? It means literally you signed up to the MLS,
Mhm.
because the MLS itself is now seen as like the conspiracy, the cooperation compensation scheme. So now that small little broker in Ohio with 3 agents, guess what? You're part of the conspiracy.
Because you use the MLS.
And the conspiracy just got sued and Merle might be 45 billion. So now there's $45 billion verdict. Guess what? You, 3-person broker, owe 45 billion.
Oh. So then they'll go
Yeah, that
bankrupt.
again. So it's like now I feel like brokers, franchise executives, MLS people, association people are finally like, oh, wait a minute. Before we worry about like exclusive buyer agency agreements, we need to worry about how's my liability insurance? How much money do I have in the bank? Can I survive this?
Mhm.
And at least now they're having that conversation.
Right.
So
No.
I don't know if your audience is, tends to
I-
be broker heavy, agent heavy, consumer heavy. I don't know,
It's I feel like it's a half and half depending on the discussion, but this
Yeah.
is one of the most popular topics. What I think is important is we talk about like copycats, we talk about agents being unprepared,
Yeah,
but who's not prepared are sellers and buyers.
correct.
Because Jesus, I mean, some buyers are still told that, I mean, last week, 2 agents online were talking about how buyer agents are free. And that's
Right.
it's so bad. Like, stop. There was an agent who posted a whole training video on how to negotiate the buy side commission. And it was almost the exact same script that was shown in, I think I tagged you, like in the Sitzer case,
Yeah,
the training mail. It was almost the same thing. And I'm like, oh
yeah.
God, you're going to get yourself in trouble. So what I'm guessing is happening right now is that the state realtor associations are probably looking at what their contracts look like.
Sure,
Like, is my guess.
sure.
And the one thing I think consumers are really bad about is reading contracts to
Of
the
course.
degree where they understand what they're signing up
Of
for.
course. Of course.
And so that's my biggest concern is that they don't understand what their rights are and they don't
Hmm.
understand what they're signing.
Hmm.
And so from like a home seller standpoint, so none of these lawsuits are done, right? They're not
Correct.
done, but
Correct.
their contracts from NAR are likely tweaking as we talk, I would assume.
I
Uh,
would think so.
right.
But
We don't
here's the
know.
thing. To me, it's too early. So one of my criticisms of the industry right now is all these MLSs, all these realtor associations, everyone's looking at, okay, we need to change our agreement, right? And what they're all assuming is that the injunction out of Sitzer will be where we're going to get rid of the mandatory comps. So right now you're required to enter the listing into the MLS,
Mhm.
right? And then once it's in the MLS, you are required to offer compensation, even if that number is zero.
Zero.
Right?
Right.
So NAR made a huge deal about, hey man,
Could be
commission is
zero.
always negotiable and you could enter zero. The DOJ is saying the fact that you have to enter anything at all
Mhm.
is the
The
problem,
problem.
right?
Right.
They haven't come out and said that, but I think that's sort of the position. So what I think the DOJ wants is compensation should just not even be a part of this. Now, what I think the industry overall seems to believe is, well, okay, fine, we won't offer compensation. It'll just be part of the purchase process, right? And I think the way I've heard it phrased by a number of people is something like this: you're the seller, right? Okay, you're
Mhm.
selling your house for 500,000. Buyer agent comes to your agent and says, hey, I have a buyer who's going to pay full price, right? Full price offer. But we're going to need your seller to pay my commission.
Right.
And if you say no, that's fine. It's a term in the purchase agreement that you can
Right.
negotiate.
Negotiation. Right.
But if you say no, then chances are we don't have a deal.
Mhm.
And the idea is that all sellers would be like, oh, yeah, well, okay, fine. It's, well, yeah, sure, no problem. I'll accept that. Or, okay, you know what? I'm willing to pay that. It's a negotiation, but
Mhm.
we're going to have to bump that to 510. You know what I mean? It'll be part of,
Right.
like, that's the industry thinking.
Strategy. Right.
Right. I don't think that's the way it's going to go. I don't
No.
think this judge is going to allow that. I think he's going to come out with a much stronger injunction.
So then what do VA buyers do? Because they can't pay commission, right?
Right. I think VA buyers are going to have to pay their own buyer agent.
But I don't think they're legally allowed to.
They could write a check. They can't
Mhm.
use a VA loan,
Right.
but the VA loan's not going to prevent you, the buyer, from writing them a check
Right. Outside of the process.
outside of the process.
Oh, where do you come up with
Uh-huh.
that much money? Right.
Right. So here's the
Yeah,
second option.
nobody's discussing that. I mean, they're
And
talking, the idea is it's negotiated between the seller and buyer. And that's where like I mostly lead is like, hey, you can ask them to still pay for it, but that doesn't mean they're going to.
right.
But
Right.
if
So
they're not
I think
allowed,
what will end up happening, I think what the judge will actually, the injunction, it will be some variation of you are no longer allowed to offer or to accept compensation from the other side.
mm,
Now, it does mean you can accept it from your own client.
okay,
So the seller could say, okay, in the course of this contract, I'll tell you what, buyer, I'll offer you $15,000
right.
to pay your agent. And now the
Okay.
buyer says, okay, now I have $15,000.
What do I want to do with this?
What do I, you know, what do I do with this?
Right.
And if you think about like your typical first time home buyer, okay, so let me get this straight. I liquidated my 401k. I sold everything I own. I scraped and borrowed money from mom and dad to
Mhm.
make this down payment. And I qualified. The seller just said, I'll give you $15,000.
What are you going to do with it?
I'm going to give that to my buyer agent.
Or buy down my rate or my,
Or am I going to have a conversation with my agent? Say, listen, I know we said 15 grand, but I'm broke. I need to buy groceries. How about I give you 5 grand? I think what people are completely missing with all of this, especially these gurus who are talking about the exclusive buyer agency agreements and whatnot, is like, say that happens. Okay. How are you going to enforce your agency agreement?
hmm. When you take them
And
to court.
since you're half and half, I mean, I like
Yeah,
look, and the buyer's like, look, I acknowledge I have an agreement.
I can't pay you.
I have an agreement. I agreed to pay you $15,000, Wendy.
Hmm.
We have a relationship, right? We've known each other. You helped me buy my house. And are you saying that the buyer agent now is going to go, listen, I'm going to stop you from closing escrow unless you write me this check?
Right.
Like, is that how this is happening? Like, somebody walk through the mechanics of this enforcement for me
Well, I guess
instead
that's
of
the
just saying,
same as them signing a buyer agency agreement and the seller's only offering two. And typically the agent will be like, I'll just take two. So
right,
I guess it's
right,
similar, right?
right. In the real world, I don't see any scenario in the real world where a buyer agent is going to go sue their buyer to
I'm sure there's
enforce
some
this
crazy
agreement.
ones that will do that.
Of course there are, but then
Oof.
what happens after that?
Hopefully they go out of business.
Right. So you could sue one, like, okay, now that buyer says, hey, hey, you sure you can work with Chris if you want, but understand Chris sued me. Be real careful what you sign with Chris, or there are
Right.
plenty of other buyers. Like, you and I both know in the real world, that's what's going to happen.
Hmm.
This notion of suing your clients, I'm not saying it's not done. I'm not saying that if you have an effective buyer agency agreement that you don't have the right to get paid. Of course you do. I'm saying, can we be sort of a little bit practical about,
Who's
are you
actually going to
leaving?
sue the buyer?
Right. It's a
Right.
little bit like lawyers when, suing their former clients for fees.
Hmm.
You can do that. But guess what? That client and every person that client knows,
Right.
you
They're
know,
blowing, they're
like,
blowing up your Google reviews and you're done. I got it.
yeah. So you got to really think about it. Look, and again, obviously it's situational, right?
Right.
I could see it. It's not a big deal. You helped a millionaire buy some oceanfront property, and the millionaire is going to be greedy. It's like, screw that. I don't need to pay you. Take him to court. You know what I mean? Like, fine. But
Someone that doesn't have
I,
the money.
especially when we're talking like VA loans. So you're going to sue a veteran.
Veteran.
You're going to sue some war hero.
Oh, thanks for your
because
service. I'm taking you to court.
but I have
Sorry.
this exclusive agency agreement, so pay up, Sergeant Johnson. Like that's gonna like really? Is that really what we're doing here?
Oh, that's like death by PR. Good Lord.
No,
So then
no,
I guess
yeah,
so I guess it's hard to tell sellers what to expect, but it's probably
right.
important to say that if someone's telling you that you need to offer buyer agent at this point, you can be like, I probably don't. Like, I don't. But
Right.
it's interesting though, because those big brokerages seem to be a little more stringent on like what commission they charge versus the boutique ones that are maybe a little more flexible.
Yeah, I think that's all going to change now.
Right.
So one of the things that Remax and Anywhere, when they did the settlement, one of the things they agreed to was whole new training, right? And changes in internal company policy, because it used to be company policy at some of these companies where like I'm an agent. Let's say I know somebody, is a war veteran, disabled and lost a leg and was in Iraq. Okay. And I could be like, listen, I will sell your house for 1%. In fact, I'll sell your house for $500, right? Because thank you for your service. I will do that for you. Your broker will be like, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. Or
Your
you have to
broker will
pay
tell you,
me.
right?
Right.
It's 2.5% minimum listing fee. And our company policies that we always offer out 2.5%. So minimum is 5%. If you need to vary that, you need to get manager approval to do that. One of the things that Remax and Anywhere agreed to is to get rid of all of those types of things.
Okay.
Right. So there's no more of this like minimum commissions, minimum splits. There's none of that.
It's just
Right?
listing or buy side.
List, and then if you want to offer, you can, but the company's not involved in that at all, because that's why they got sued. Right. So going forward, large companies will be like, it's up to you, agent, do whatever you want. Now, could there be behind the scenes off, you know what I mean? Like in the hallways, like if you don't do this, then I'm gonna get rid of you. Like, sure, it's human nature. But at least on paper, there won't be that. There'll be a lot of training that talks about how the seller is no longer required to offer compensation.
Okay.
Right. There'll be a bunch of that. And then I think a lot of these companies will require that the listing agent probably get a form signed by the seller saying, hey, my agent explained to me that I don't have to offer compensation.
Right. Another piece of paper that we
another
all
piece of paper.
Another piece of paper.
Because it's, so I think that's like up now. So people who are listening to this show right now, if you are like home seller, you're thinking about it, then understand that the law is changing. But keep in mind a couple of things. Number one, the injunction has not come down yet. So we don't know what the new rules of the road are going to be. What we know is that two companies have agreed on a settlement, which is not approved yet. So nothing's yet changed.
Right.
But if you were to go to your agent now and say, I'm not offering compensation,
I don't think they would fight you on that one. Yeah.
Probably not. And right now, given the rules we have today, they might be like, yeah, but we have to put something into the MLS. Like, well, NAR has said you could put 0. So put 0. When buyer agents get pissy, you go, listen, there has been a big lawsuit. Do you want to make it part of the purchase agreement? Then we can talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, it might have to be unknown and chaotic for a while. Okay. We're going to have new rules. With the injunction, I think the judge will issue the ruling. I'm going to say, I'd be surprised if he went longer than end of the month.
Really?
It might be in the next couple of weeks, but I would be surprised if it wasn't, sooner than that.
Right. And on the buy side, I think it's important to mention, like when commission was offered to the buy side, it was only to the broker. So it wasn't like you could take that 2.5%. And if you were using an attorney, pay your attorney with it, or you couldn't take it. Obviously, if a buyer couldn't take it. So then the listing agent, if they came up straight at them and didn't have representation, just got all of it. Right. So I do understand, letting the seller and the buyer hash it out on a monetary value opens up a lot of models and a lot of more people that originally weren't able to touch that commission pot. So,
but like I said, I think it's a little early to start making new contracts, new agreements. Like, I think it's a little early because we just don't know what the new rules are going to be.
Right. But I think it's important from a buyer standpoint you're likely at this point, I would think most people are going to be shoving like the agency
Paper in
agreements.
your face. Yeah, the exclusive
Yeah.
buyer agency that's gonna be the
Right.
next big thing for the buyer.
Right. And so when you're signing that and you're saying you're willing to pay 2.5% plus some bullshit transaction fee that drives me crazy. If sellers come January are like, oh, no, I'm not offering that anymore. Your paper says you're going to pay one or another 2.5% plus
Mm-hmm.
the bullshit transaction fee.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if they take you to court for it, that's the other thing. But you need to know what you're signing. And a
Yeah.
lot of times, at least at this point, some agents sign those, like sneak them in when you're making an offer and you have no idea. Sometimes they're signing you up for like a full year of representation, which would
Mm-hmm.
definitely take you into whatever change
Mm-hmm.
is coming that way. And I wish there was some sort of app that would help people put their contract in like a normal person terms instead of legalese, because
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think they understand
Yeah.
half. I mean, sometimes I read it and I'm like, does that make
Yeah.
sense? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Sometimes I read it and I'm like, what the hell does this say? I don't what
Right.
is it?
Right.
Yeah.
I asked, is it do not pay? Who is it? I think it's do not pay. Remember like the AI lawyer?
I don't
Do you
recall. No.
remember they were going to pay someone like $1 million to let their AI represent them in court? Do
Oh,
you
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that? I think it's do not pay.
Those
I
that could throw it
100%
out.
reached out.
Yeah. Because the
Yeah.
AI sucked at it and was making up law and stuff,
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Because I
But
was like,
AI is gonna
hey,
improve.
yeah. I was like, hey, if you want to try something, you should help people understand
Yeah.
like what their contract says,
Yeah.
which is probably some other legal issue. But
Yeah.
all right. So we need to pay attention from this point forward as a seller or a buyer, what the heck we are signing. The other thing, what you should be thinking about, and which I always found interesting, is that whether your agent has 2 closings or 100, they were getting paid the same. But now, if you are paying them, I think it's really important. And I think that buyers will start to pay attention to like, why does this brand new agent get 2%, or 2.5, whatever it is, whatever they decide. And then this other agent who's got like 8 years experience and 50 closings a year charging the same thing. Like, obviously, I'd probably go for the person with more experience than. So it'll be interesting to see if newer agents offer less, or, it could really open it up.
It could.
But it used to be that like, well, we get paid the same because sometimes closings take a year and sometimes they take a month. And I'm like, well, maybe that's not fair. Maybe you should be paid based on the work that was completed, which is something that might occur, might I have no idea. Nobody knows, right?
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. All right, so we talked about VA buyers.
Yeah.
What are we
Wait, so
missing?
before you leave that point though,
Yeah.
so what I've been advocating for, and at this point I think I could say that I've been predicting will happen, right? What I think is going to happen is buyer agents will get paid by the hour.
Mhm.
That's what I really think will happen. Because from even before any of this lawsuit stuff, I remember when I first got into the industry, I would be like, I don't understand why anyone would pay a buyer agent a commission. Right. And I'm someone who did that. Like I actually paid my buyer
Yeah.
agent through the split, but I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, because what I want to do if I have an agent representing me, right? Like actual buyer agent, not a transaction agent,
Right.
not of my fiduciary. I'm like, I want to incentivize you to get the price low.
Mhm.
So I remember asking actually one of my buyer agents, hey, how about this? How about I pay you $5,000, right? Plus like 30% of whatever you save me off list. And he
Right.
was willing to do it. You know why that didn't happen? Because the broker
Because his
said
broker wouldn't let him.
broker wouldn't
Shocking.
let him.
I'm so
He
shocked.
was like, that makes perfect sense to me. He's like, look, I think I'm going to make about, I can't remember, $15,000 on this thing. I think this list price is way overpriced. I'll take your 5,000, right? Because that pays for all my driving you around and all that shit. And I think I could knock 30 grand off of this. So I'm going to keep, 10,000 from that and maybe even better, like
Right.
he was willing to do it. And he and I have known each other a bunch of times. His broker wouldn't let him.
Wouldn't let him do it.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, fine. We'll just stick with the
Can
regular.
you imagine if you're like buying a home that has a really awful home inspection and they negotiate like 30 grand down? But that's the point, right? negotiate for my best interest.
As a buyer, I would want my agent to get the price low. As a seller, I want to pay my agent a commission because I want to get the price up, right? So I never thought it made sense to pay buyer agents a percentage-based commission. Okay, if this, the injunction comes down, this is okay, we're just going to get rid of all this commission sharing nonsense. Sellers pay your agents, buyers pay your agents, right? Then the conversation changes. Now it's like, okay, so I'm happy to sign this agency agreement, but why in the world would I pay you a percentage of what I buy? Right. I'll pay you by the hour. And now what you just said is, and listen, you've got 2 years experience, and I see here you've only sold 7 homes in the last 2 years. This $100 an hour is awfully, I don't know about that.
Some of them were saying they're going to charge $350 an hour. And I'm like,
no, here's the thing, but let's say it's somebody who's at 25 years experience, knows every builder, every neighborhood, and it's like, look, I charge $500 an hour, right? At that point, it really is no different than hiring an attorney.
Right. But then that person better be the one doing the work with me then. If I'm paying,
of course.
But then there goes that team situation, right? Where, oh, good Lord.
But we already know how that's going to, why is my camera so weird? We already know how that's going to go, right? Like, oh, sorry. I mean, for anyone.
There you are. You're good. You're good.
I mean, so like, I have a law firm, right? The partner is $1,000 an hour. So I try to use the partner as little as possible.
Right.
The partner said, look, and I have associates, I have paralegals,
True.
So for just regular grunt work, like you just need someone to draft a contract, right? And I'll be the one to tell him, like, hey, man, don't you dare touch that contract, right? Because you're $1,000 an hour.
Right.
Then that's the paralegal at $150 an hour, right? I need you and your $1,000 to talk strategy, make actual recommendations, maybe negotiate the contract. I think that's how it's going to work, right? And again, I think what it'll do is it'll actually end up being better for agents, right? Because I feel like all these agents seem to think if we get rid of this and we go to the hour, then they'll make no money. Actually, I'm like, no, right? Actually, what'll happen is you'll get your license, you're brand new, you're brand new, you know that you don't know anything. Your value is going to be, hey, buyer, let me work hard for you for $10 an hour. And let me prove myself and let me really go out there and kick ass and have you write me a glowing review, refer me to all your friends. And now I get busier. Now I'm going to start charging $25 an hour. And you go to an interview, it's like, okay, well, how much experience do you have? And you go, I have very little experience. I have no experience, which is why
I'm going to charge you less.
I'm only charging you $20 an hour.
Right? Which is how it works in majority of industries, which it should, right? Like pay for what your experience is getting.
Yeah. Now, once you have 10 years experience, you've done 10,000 transactions. Now it's like, listen, man, like, in fact, I think what will happen is a lot of the top agents will start referring the business to younger colleagues, right? Because like, look, I'm not doing a condo purchase. Like, that's beneath me. I'm going to work on this massive oceanfront, whatever thing, or some complicated, trust, situation with oil and gas rights or something. Like I think that's better. I genuinely think that's going to be better for agents. And it'll certainly be better for buyers because now as a buyer, you choose, right? Do you want to go with the $500 an hour, 20-year experience, to buy your condo? That's up to you, right? Or do you want to say, hey, listen, I'm going to hire you for the negotiation, but I'm going to hire this $50 an hour kid just out of real estate school to open doors for me.
You could even just rent a real estate agent at that point if you want someone to open your door, right?
Yeah,
pay $25.
Let the buyer figure. Like I think it's going to give them all the choice in the world. And then the listing side, it doesn't really change. I mean, being hired by the seller to maximize the value of their home.
Right.
2.5%, give me 3%, and off you go. I think that's, yeah.
I was just going to say, what I can't stand is that the conversation right now from listing agents is like, well, you're paying me to encourage someone to bring a buyer. And I'm thinking like, I'm paying you to sell my home. Like part of your marketing and stuff is to find buyers, right? Like that's part of the process. So that that conversation never makes sense to me. It's like, well, I'm incentivizing
Yeah.
people to bring a buyer. And I'm like, well, what am I paying you for?
Yeah.
Besides
I'll
like the
tell you
project
what,
management of it, you know?
one thing that that really bugged me the last time I sold a house, right? And I don't blame my agent for this because I remember talking to her about it. I was like, okay, well, you're the listing agent. I hired you because you're the best. Why aren't you at the showing? And she had to explain to me, if I'm at the showing, then the buyer agent gets nervous, right? And the and I'm like, wait, so you're not actually selling my house.
Someone
She's
else
like,
is.
no, I'm not. I'm just marketing it. And what her job, as she saw, was providing the selling script to the buyer agent. Right now, there are markets in the country. I think Chicago's one of them where the listing agent is always at the showing.
Okay.
So it's the listing agent that shows the house
Right.
because the listing agent knows all the features of that house and has talked to the owner. So, the listing agent be like, and by the way, here's a hidden door for
Right.
storing
Right.
your
Right.
candy. Like,
What a surprise.
like really sell the house to the buyer. Right. And then the buyer's agent, after you walk out, could be like, don't listen to that salesperson.
Right.
They're lying about this or
Right. There's water in the basement.
correct. They didn't
Didn't
tell you
mention
about the
that.
mold, right?
Right.
I think we'll see something more like that after
Mm.
all these changes. Where going forward, I can't imagine hiring a listing agent, right? And then saying, yeah, you don't go to the show. No, 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 no. Now I know for a
You're
fact that the
selling my
buyer
home.
agent, right, is incentivized, right, to
Mm-hmm.
screw me, which is
Right.
great because the buyer's paying him, right? Then you, my rep, you better be at the showing
Right.
and doing your best song and dance, selling my house and the vision and the dream to the potential buyer. I think that's reasonable.
I think so. I mean, it's different than what they think they do now. So there's
Correct.
going to be a disaster in the Facebook chat groups like there is right now. I told someone today, I was like, NAR really needs a social media police department where they stop. I mean, it's going to get. I mean, it's so easy to prove what the lawsuit said if you just go onto one Facebook group. I mean, one day yesterday, I had 7 screenshots like, this is why the lawsuit happened. This is what you shouldn't be saying.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a few common sense people in there that are like, please stop talking about this. Please stop saying that. And they're like, well, I don't care. It's fine. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, you know what? The only group of people that I don't see NAR doing anything like that, but I'll tell you what, like I said, copycat losses are coming.
Mhm.
And if you think those guys that are advertising on late night TV about, whatever, like,
Oh, yeah, right,
if you don't think those guys are researching sellers right now,
right,
I got news for you. Like,
right.
you don't think those guys would go on Facebook and social media and find these things? Oh, what is, okay, clip that, copy
Mhm.
that. Uh, who does that agent work for? Okay,
Right.
cool. We're going to sue that broker.
Let's go find their clients too. I
Right,
just,
let's go find who their clients were. Look in public records. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
hey, do you know you probably got screwed? So let me help you fight for your money. All that shit.
Right.
Like,
Oh, they're
it's coming.
already there are sellers every time I talk about this in my comment section that are like, how can I get my money back? I'm like, oh God.
Hmm.
Like, well, like most of these, I'm assuming Gibson is opt-in or opt-out, right? Like you're
No, yeah, so yeah,
already included.
yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna be out there. But everyone's gonna start getting. Like, here's
Yeah.
the next thing that once the ruling comes out, 500,000 people in Missouri are about to get those letters in their mail.
Mhm.
We won. You are owed some money. Please
Mhm.
respond here to find out how much you're owed, dude. They're gonna tell all their friends like, "Hey, I'm getting $12,000 or
Mhm.
whatever it is." It's gonna
How
be
much could they get? I mean, this is obviously just guessing. And
yeah,
if the $5 billion went out, because everyone's like, they'll get 25 cents. And I'm like,
yeah.
that's a lot of money for 500,000 people.
Well,
Right?
so here's the thing. At the 5.35 billion, right? Is if the lawyers take a quarter, which they will,
Mhm.
then I think each Missouri home seller that's in the class will probably get about 8,000.
And that would be plenty enough for someone to be like, well, shit, I want my
Yeah.
money back.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
The issue is I don't think they're ever going to get 5.35 billion because none of them have
for the
like
money.
they don't have 5.35 billion.
Right.
So it'll probably be a fraction of the amount. So maybe it'll be useless. It'll be like, hey, we're gonna give you a Starbucks gift card, for
Right.
opt-ins.
Right. I mean, but even if it's $700, I think at this point in our
Mhm.
economy, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, it's found money, right? All
yeah,
these people will be like, oh wow, I sold a home 3 years ago, and now somebody's telling me I could get $10,000 back. Like it's gonna happen. Like, yeah, it's
I'm
gonna
still
happen.
shocked that NAR and Keller Williams and Berkshire went for it. Shocked,
I'm
considering what I mean. I talked to someone who's pretty well versed on the cases, and he's like Remax and Anywhere basically said like we don't have the money if that were to ever happen. Like
mhm,
we don't you wouldn't even get it out of us. So like that's why they decided to settle.
mhm.
Um, I don't know. I'm just surprised
People
that
are criticizing them when they settled, though. They're like, you guys are whatever. You're scared. You're betraying. Like there was a lot of real negative things. I'm like, well, now here we are.
right now
Remax
they're
and really, they Anywhere look like geniuses,
right.
right?
Well,
Like,
now they say
listen,
that about NAR. Like, why didn't you just solve this before? Now we're in a position of
sure.
everyone's
Yeah, 2020
everyone's the coach,
hindsight.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. Like
Oh,
there's Brad Inman talking about like all these leaders failed. I'm like, you weren't saying that in 2019,
but
right? I mean,
oh
nobody
man,
said that in 2019. Nobody said that in
I didn't
2020.
realize he sold last year or 2 years ago or whenever it was. Someone bought him.
Mhm.
Which I'm like, shoot, maybe I should reach out to them. Like, hey, do you want to have like the Inman for consumers? Like, let's
That's right.
talk because we're there. I'm always thinking about that stuff.
You
Anyways,
can. Yeah.
I don't have a
So
choice,
look,
right?
I mean, since half your audience are tend to be brokers and agents, I'll relate this thing because this is my next second and third order consequence.
Mhm.
What people haven't yet realized is what Remax and Realogy will now be able to do because they settled out.
Mhm.
Right. And Sitzer now, assuming that the settlement gets approved, because that hasn't been approved yet.
Right.
But right now, I don't see any reason why the judge would not approve that settlement. The settlement that the DOJ will object to is any settlement with NAR,
Mhm.
because that's about the rules, right? And
Right.
that's what the DOJ cares about.
Right.
This is just like the corporate defense, like we agreed on 55 million. The plaintiff said, sure, we'll take 55 million. Like judges typically don't interfere with that stuff.
Okay.
I mean, it's a settlement, right? Remax franchisees and Anywhere franchisees are now immune from
Mm-hmm.
all lawsuits.
Mm-hmm.
Merle is coming next year. You don't think? I'm just saying, like,
People are going to jump ship to Remax.
wouldn't you?
I mean, if I was worried my company wouldn't have enough money to pay my E&O
Yeah,
and cover my butt, yeah,
yeah. Of course you would.
yeah,
So people aren't thinking about that. People aren't thinking about the fact that when I went, like I said, I was in Ohio. A lot of these smaller brokers are like, if I fold up shop now, am I on the hook? I'm like, not really, because they can't go after you individually. They go after your brokerage company.
right.
You're a three-person brokerage. Chances are they're not going to go after you anyway because you're too small. But you can't say that about ambulance chasers.
You know what? That makes sense now because someone said there was a small buyer broker agency in Florida. Then when this
Mhm.
came out, they decided to just shut it down.
Right.
And now
Yeah,
that makes
just
sense
become a
because now
team.
they won't. Yeah, now they don't have to be involved. Now it
Exactly.
makes sense because I'm like, that's pretty bold to just shut it down so quickly without any like final verdict. But I get
Yeah.
it now because now they don't have no one can go after them.
No one can go after him. No one can go after agents. No one can go after agent teams. Right.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that's
That
going to
makes sense.
happen. We're going to
Okay.
see, and so we're going to see this massive consolidation. Like right now, today, I think there are something like 84,000 brokerages in the country. And a lot of them are like these, mom and pop, three-person,
Mm.
brokerages. I think we're going to see all that go away like pretty quickly, and they'll all become teams. They'll all join whatever
Okay.
the XP, Remax, whatever. I think we're going to see that. Well, that's kind of an impact.
Hmm.
So a lot of these larger brokerages, they got to think right like now as we're recording this. Right now, they have to be thinking, do we just get a Coldwell Banker franchise? Because
It's covered,
now
right?
we're covered.
Yeah, we're safe.
Nobody wants to address this. Nobody wants to talk about this. Everyone's like, oh no, that one. I'm like, read the settlement agreement. I don't know. You tell me,
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask you. So I was looking at, the Merrill case was what 2019,
Mhm.
and just now in 2024. it will go to court.
Yeah.
So Gibson, knowing it's with the same judge, is there like a sped up process, you think, or is it the same?
I don't think Gibson ever goes to trial.
Again,
I don't know,
right,
obviously, and I'm certainly not the defendants.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see any reason why any of those corporate defendants would not immediately settle.
Right.
Right.
Especially knowing who the judge is, right?
Not only that, but we just saw the same judge, the same lawyer win a $1.78 billion judgment.
Right.
Why am I messing around? Like, why do I even want to spend money on lawyers to fight this? No. Just how much money do you want? What do you want? Right.
Mm.
Like, let's just tell me how much you want. If we can afford it, we'll just pay it. And
we'll
in fact, let's just be like, here's, I'll open up the kimono. Here's how much money I have. How much of it do you want to settle this?
And just leave me alone afterwards.
Exactly. And then like, here's the thing, we want immunity because Gibson's a nationwide case. Right. So we'll settle with you. We want the same terms at Remax and Anywhere. God, I think that's what's going to happen. In fact, I think NAR could try and settle using Gibson. The issue is
that's a lot of money.
You have the money. At that point, it all is just a money fight.
Right.
And then the, sort of injunction fight. Right. So, yeah, I don't think Gibson ever goes to trial. In fact, I don't think Merle goes to trial. In the aftermath of Sitzer, you have to be
right.
You got to have something.
And to think that like all these lawyers aren't talking with each other, right? Like,
of course they are.
Right. Of course, and whether they're supposed to or not, but I'm sure.
Yeah. In fact, as far as I know, the American trial lawyers have an annual conference, typically in January, February every year, typically in Miami, somewhere in Florida. Yo, I got news, man. Ketchmark is going to be like lawyer of the year.
Right.
At that trial lawyers conference, right? Mm-hmm. And I point this out all the time, like realtors get together at these conferences, NAR annuals coming up, and trial lawyers do the same thing, y'all. Mm-hmm. They have newsletters. They have Facebook groups.
Right.
They talk to each other.
I need to get into one of those. I would love to see their Facebook groups.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah. So like I said, I think brokers are starting to wake up. Agents are a little bit too woken up to this. They're all freaking the fuck out. I'm like, relax, y'all. You're not on the hook for any of this.
Right.
Why don't you wait to see what the rules are, and then you'll figure it out. Mm-hmm.
But just stop saying that you're free and that people won't look at your home if you don't offer buyer agent commission.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, sign exclusive buyer agency agreement. Okay, cool. Like you should have been doing that anyway, right? Mm-hmm. Like I said, though, as early on, my thing is, sure, sign those. That's really good practice. Just you got to have some conversation with yourself as to when am I going to sue my client to enforce my claim.
Right.
That's you. That's you and your discussion with yourself.
Right.
After that,
going to be interesting.
You know what? We're going to all figure out how to get paid. Like I'm not worried about agents. It's because it's the point I'll make over and over. It's like, look, people are still going to buy houses. They're still going to sell houses, right? Even in this 2023, like shittiest, weirdest market we've ever seen.
Right. Wonderful.
We're probably going to sell 4 million homes. You know what I mean? Like this has nothing to do with these legal things or like this has to do with life. And life says, hey, you know what? We're going to have a baby. Yeah. Like we're going to, mom passed. We're going to have to sell the house. Like it's going to happen. Right. Mm-hmm. And when they do that, they're going to want an agent that they trust to help them. And even if you went to some of these people and said, listen, straight up, like, I need to get paid. This is how I get paid. Are you cool with that? Most of the buyers, sure. Right. I mean, so I think agents need to stop freaking out. And I think brokers need to freak out a little bit more. Right. Maybe and I think MLS execs need to freak out a little bit more.
Oh, man. That's going to be interesting. The next one of why do I have to be a member of NAR to use the MLS?
That's definitely coming.
Yeah.
That is without question coming. I'm saying that the MLSs are about to get sued. And the smart ones out there know that. But there are 500 some odd MLSs, and a lot of them I don't think have any idea until somebody shows up at their door. It's like, service of process, you've been sued.
I bet mine does, because I'm pretty sure mine, is it over 50% is owned by either Howard Hanna, someone at Howard Hanna, or it's all broker owned.
Are you in Pittsburgh?
Mm-hmm.
So are you West Penn?
Mm-hmm.
Which MLS are you?
Yeah, West Penn, which someone told me too, that it's like one of the most expensive.
Oh, maybe, but I know that was brought up in the lawsuits. Because it's a broker owned, they don't require compensation, blah blah blah. I'm like,
yeah,
maybe. I don't know if they're the first. I think it's gonna be the realtor MLS to get sued first.
Right. Oh, it's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be very interesting.
So much to talk about. And in a couple months, I'm gonna come back and see everything you said. And I mean, you're pretty spot on with your predictions.
So far it's just taken a while.
Right.
Sonny likes to tell me all the time, like, Rob's always right. It's just not
right now
for a few years.
Yeah.
I'm not always right. I'm often wrong, but
yeah. I mean, in this case, as of June, everything you said has pretty much nobody was prepared. Sits are won. There are more suits, and it's a little bit chaotic because nobody's prepared.
Let's try and wrap like this. Like I said, I think my main message is, hey, consumers, chill out, because no one knows anything about what's going on. Agents, stop freaking out. Stop freaking out. Stop posting on social media. Stop opining. Just stop until we have more clarity. Brokers, freak out a little bit more.
Right.
And call your insurance attorney, call your insurance agent, call your attorney. Figure out what your exposure might be and how you get out of it.
And for consumers, read your contract.
Yeah, of course.
Please read your contract.
Please read your contracts.
Please do it. Please have someone else read it for you if you don't understand, because you could be the wrong agent will take you to court and expect some money that you probably don't have because you just closed on your home and spent all your money doing that. So,
have a story or a question you want to share? Hit us up at therealestatereplay.com.